Steve, look right straight at the camera and just say Steve or Stephen G. Erickson or whatever.
My name is
On his signal. No, my name is just name.
Stephen G. Erickson.
Okay, this time on his signal, my name is.
My name.
Oh, wait.
My name is Stephen G. Erickson.
Okay, city and state on the signal.
Brattleboro, Vermont.
Are you a victim?
I'm a victim of public corruption, judicial abuse, and police misconduct.
Okay. So we're going to call that, we'll do those each one separately. Government corruption, to use rather than public, that's all right. So government corruption on his signal, the lens.
Government corruption.
Civil court corruption, criminal court, or both?
Both.
Civil court corruption on his signal.
Civil court corruption.
Now, criminal court corruption on his signal.
Criminal court corruption.
Last but not least, law enforcement abuse.
Law enforcement abuse.
Now, are you also an advocate?
I'm a a judicial reform advocate. I think the court should be reformed. I'd like to do away with judges completely, go with the grand jury if I could.
So let's say judicial reform advocate on
Yeah.
Lawless signal.
Judicial reform advocate.
My name is Stephen G. Erickson. I'm from Brattleboro, Vermont. And I'm a victim of civil court corruption, criminal court corruption, government corruption, law enforcement abuse. I'm also an advocate for judicial reform, or just say all of it together in one sentence into the camera.
My name is Stephen G. Erickson. I found myself in exile in Brattleboro, Vermont, out of Stafford Springs, Connecticut. I'm a victim of judicial abuse, government corruption, and police misconduct.
All right, if you roll the tape. Steve, if you just acknowledge on camera that you willingly signed the release.
I signed a release to be part of this film.
That's good. All right, a 3-minute statement to Congress.
My name is
Wait a
Steve.
minute, wait, I'll give you signals.
Okay.
He'll tell you when to start. I forgot on a couple people. 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, wrap it up. Introduce yourself as you were getting ready to. Broad overview, some specifics, and then make sure you leave. If I get to this point, try to get as soon as you can to tell them what needs to change. And if you want to spend most of the time talking about that, you can do that as well. But this will go to the Congress and the state legislators, and you're speaking to 16 people in the room.
Yep.
Okay.
My name is Stephen G. Erickson. Hello, elected officials. I want to know if you agree that if someone in America gets married, buys a house, has children, has a small business, whether police and the courts should rake them over the coals, try to break up the family for profit, take away your kids, take away your house. And if you complain about the revenue collection system, they're out to put you in jail. In some cases even send police informants out to kill you. I bought a house in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. A police officer who lived with his mother decided he liked my wife. Told me I didn't deserve her. Was followed around. He threatened me with arrest. Told me I wasn't allowed to speak at Crime Watch meetings I co-founded. And he said that if I talked to elected officials about proposing laws, I would be arrested. Told me I was kicked out of Connecticut. I wanted youth to go well. I mean, I had what he said, I interrupted the revenue collection system of lawyers, of police, and of the courts, and that it wouldn't be allowed. So I didn't want a cocaine dealer dealing drugs near my house. So he attacked me, the drug dealer. bit my ear, punched me in the face several times. And so the officer that liked my wife, who had assaulted me at my house in front of my neighbors, arrested me later on. He had the witnesses change their stories to say that I attacked the drug dealer. So for having my ear bitten, I bled down to my underwear, I was beaten up, I was faced a 1.5 years in jail. And then I found myself being followed around by police, threatened, and it just kept escalating. We're involved with state police and the court. Ended up getting a 1 year in jail for being attacked on my property by a police informant. He threatened me for 2 weeks, telling me he was going to kill me. At the same time, police were showing up, kicking my door after midnight, going, "Stevie boy, come out! Hi, Stevie boy!" So when I got attacked on my property, I got arrested. Lost my family, my house, everything. And the police were threatening me with this before it happened, before I was even arrested. So should this happen in America? Should victims of the system be compensated? Should judges have their finances looked into? Because I know that they're profiting. I can get you information on that. What are police doing? Why do police have hundreds of thousands of dollars when they go shoot up the courthouse and shoot their wife and their wife's lawyer, like in Connecticut? There's so much going on. Nothing's investigated. Will you do something?
Great.
You like that?
I loved it. Different than anybody else.
Oh, yeah?
All right, now we'll roll it. I'll need a time code.
18, 55, 41, 15.
Okay, we're rolling. Are we rolling? All right, let's go back. When did you find this sweet woman that you married?
I met her in Lithuania, drinking in London, and I don't know, it's somehow back and forth. I ended up in Lithuania, and I met her. I stayed on her parents' farm, and one thing led to another. She came back, put her through accounting school, got a house, got married somewhere in between. So,
When did you get married?
Flag Day, June 14th, 1994.
And did children follow?
I had a child already, Sarah.
All right. And did you have any children with her?
No, I did not.
And is there anything about the story that's important before this policeman enters your life?
I had a choice of staying in Lithuania doing import-export. I'm an American, so I figured I'm going to go back, I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to live the American dream. And I got used to staying in downtown areas, having lived in, not really lived, but I was in Europe for an extended period of time in the former Soviet Union. And I got to like being downtown, walking to the shops, and the downtown life. And, the same arts, entertainment, eating, and all that, I wanted to capture the same atmosphere again. So I ended up getting a house in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. And what I didn't realize is that if you don't have a grandfather buried in the local cemetery, you can't really own anything. You can't run a business. It's by permission of the selectmen, of the police, of the courts. And if I was basically told to leave and leave my wife, and police officers, there was a Pakistani that owned, he was the son of a Pakistani, so he was born here in America. He had a pizza parlor, and they ran him out of town because he was going out with white girls. And another guy had a kid with a woman. She was very attractive. The police officer got the guy fired from his job, kept harassing him and threatening him with jail. So if a police officer in a corrupt town wants your wife, wants your house, wants your car, police wanted me to... I considered being a police officer when I went to Stafford Springs. I talked to the Lieutenant Trapp, and he kind of confided in me and what he wanted me to do. And what I realized is to become a police officer, one of the ways was to be a police informant. Some police informants have criminal records, and they basically commit crimes for police to help take people's property, set them up for fines, set them up for arrests, file false police reports. And what Lieutenant Trapp wanted, there's certain guns he wanted for his own collection. He used to go to gun shows, see who bought what, and he wanted large capacity round weapons specifically, so he would target individuals that had these weapons to get them for himself. And I guess it's a common practice where if a police officer likes something, or if you're in competition for business, you use covert means to take whatever you want. And what I found out when Fat Frank Prochaska of Stafford Springs, he would listen to all my phone calls. This is before 2001. He was on my internet, would follow me to and from jobs. Police would follow me to and from. This is just for liking my wife. And teenagers that were selling drugs in front of my house were in cahoots with the police. Vandals. You know, if somebody vandalizes your house or you have property, you can be fined $75 a day in certain communities. So vandals work for the police. Prostitutes can get free rent off of landlords if the landlord isn't connected, because the police offer and the police protect the prostitutes. And I went to the selectmen about 2 armed drug dealers, and the police were basically after me. They don't want to hear anything about crime. They're going after collecting revenue. They want to go after soccer moms going to and from work for if she has one extra drink, or if they're arguing with their kids at the playground. They offer DCF workers money somehow for filing false reports. I'm friends with or was friend with a police officer, Richard Merzen. Since retired, he was a narcotics officer. He did surveillance as a private investigator, and when he told on bad cops that were involved with the organized crime, they went after his entire family. They arrested him for using gas to get home. If you word search Rick Goldstein, he also proposed civilian oversight of police, as did I. And Rick Goldstein fled to Sweden. He was so harassed by police in Connecticut. And Rich Merzen was mentioned in one of Rick Goldstein's videos. For over 20 years, they went after his entire family. Just kept harassing him. And I was going to do a production like this with Rich Merzen and A.J. Fontaine around this time last year, I believe. And one died of natural causes, and the other one died of natural causes a couple days later. And so I didn't go down because I didn't want to be number 3 of dying of natural causes. So I'm a little bit afraid of Connecticut.
This police officer,
Fat Frank Prochaska, living with mommy. Yep.
Living with your wife?
No, living with his mother.
Oh, living with his mother.
Yeah, he I don't know. It's like with no personality, and I've talked to a girl in Connecticut, the one that sent me the email that with your link that blew up my computer. Well, she was telling me she also lived in Stafford Springs, and when she got popped for drugs, somebody else got her to buy marijuana or whatever else, so they arrested her. And so this Fat Frank Prochaska was trying to sleep with her. He's trying to sleep with underage girls. He's doing this and that. They basically run around. They think they can have sex, take whatever they want, beat people up, and there's absolutely no control of what are supposed to be protect and serve. Sleeping with prostitutes. It's just how big a scumbag do you have to be, lying scumbag, to break up families, take somebody's house. I went from owning 3 rental properties to homeless, freezing in the woods in Vermont. They terrorized. I was in Massachusetts, and I went all the way to Vermont to get away from the Connecticut State Police. And every day that I live, I feel it's a borrowed day.
You want to explain to those who may not know what you mean by borrowed day? What is your fear?
Well, if the police can just show up and arrest me. I mean, I was threatened. My life was threatened. I had two sets of properties, one in Somersville and a 3 and 4 family in Stafford Springs. And in each case, when I came home, I'd have my keys in my hand and run into my house because I knew if I was attacked by a police informant on my property, that I'd be arrested, I'd lose my property, and I'd go to jail because that's what the cops had threatened me with. And that's what happened. So for being attacked on my property, police informant beat me up on my house, said, "Give me your money or I'm going to kill you." And this is after leaving voicemails, telling my tenants he was going to kill me when I got home. I pepper sprayed him. I got a year in jail for that. And the police tried to make it hard for me in jail. I was labeled as a snitch, and they tried to get me to get an off-campus pass, what they don't give out, where I would be with the state police out on the highway. And I figured they're just going to pull ahead, and I'm going to get shot for trying to escape, because it was just a nightmare. I could write a whole book on the nightmare of being in jail for retaliation. And I'd read the inmate's handbook, so I knew that I didn't have to take any job, and they threatened me with more time and never getting out of jail. And when I was released, the Stafford Spring police officer, John Desso, who's also lieutenant of the guards at the prison, told me I was kicked out of Connecticut, that I had to leave. So after I was done parole, I was given an hour to pack up my stuff and leave the state. I went from having 3 basements of my properties full of antiques, wherever else. I had a Corvette, I had a boat, camper. I went from having business, property, to having nothing. My daughter hasn't called me daddy since I went to jail. And that was one of the things that would lose my daughter, not see her again. That's what I was threatened with for if I was politically active. I haven't talked to my father. He's supposed to report to the police if I have a girlfriend, a job, or a place to live. So it's ongoing. I consider leaving the country. I want to be free and American somewhere else, where I don't have to deal with the constant problems. I've been pulled over and threatened by police, whether they have the license plate scanner. I try not to go to Connecticut because even when I owned property, they had put police guards out in front of town hall, so I couldn't speak at town hall. At the Capitol in Hartford, the state police, they've pulled me over walking inside and detained me. And when I try to leave, they come up with their cruisers. They don't turn the lights on, but they turn the light bars on. They go back and forth. The threats and intimidation. I'd wake up in the morning when I had a place in Massachusetts, staying in a horse farm. There's two State of Connecticut police officers out in front of the house. It wasn't long after that all the electronics and computers burned out in the house. At the same time, Chris Kennedy's house, all the electronics, his computer burned out. And free speech, freespeech.com, I used to blog on. I used to get 5,000, 10,000 hits. Around the same time that I was blogging at the horse farm, his electronics blew out and the servers and all that. And so freespeech.com went down because the state of Connecticut didn't want me blogging about judicial and police corruption, basically threatened. So, they can do whatever they want.
How did the judges fit into the picture?
Judge Jonathan J. Kaplan, as a landlord, as a contractor, and small claims, he's straight up just a jackass. bias. We'd make faces at me in court. I lodged complaints. I complained about him to him. And I went to legislators, elected officials, trying to have him removed for bad behavior for about 2 years. And there was a prosecutor, Keith Currier. I couldn't get the police to do anything about a prostitute that had moved in. So the prostitute went with her splayed, high heels, and said that she was going to talk to the prosecutor and she'd have me arrested. So I called the prosecutor and I said, I can't get the police to do anything, so can I have something done directly where I can prosecute where somebody just moved into my house and the police aren't going to do anything? And he says, if you evict her or bother her in any way, you lose all your property and you go to jail. So Keith Currier was the prosecutor, and Judge Jonathan J. Kaplan, who I'm trying to remove for about 2 years, was the one that, when the trial started, said that I was guilty and I was going to jail right before the trial. And 4 police officers committed perjury, saying that I never asked to make a complaint against the person who attacked me. So for being attacked on my own property, a judge I was trying to remove gave me a year in jail, and the prosecutor would not give me first-time offender status, wouldn't make any deals, just said year and a half in jail, no deals. For pepper spraying somebody who said, give me your money or I'll kill you. So it's now 10 years later, approximately. So maybe I would have been a millionaire. I can't even rent a car. You need credit to rent a car. It's about impossible to get a job. Trying to get a girlfriend or a place to live. Place by the week. I got a job as an insurance adjuster after Hurricane Katrina. Got promoted 3 or 4 times. I was honest about my record, but I got the job and I excelled, and I was fired for having been in prison in Connecticut. They said, well, you can't get attacked on your property. And when they ran a background check, there's 11 derogatory pages. It looks like it was repeatedly went to prison. And that they said that in order to get prison, you have to be a repeat offender. And the same judge allowed somebody who raped a 3-year-old that was already in trouble. Didn't get prison. Didn't get labeled as a sex offender. Everything's fine in their life. I get attacked on my property, get a year in prison. I had a tenant who was on probation. His wife was cheating on him, so he went over to where his wife was. They had 4 kids together. Kicked the door in, beat the guy, broke his nose. He wasn't violating a probation for that. Bartender local was on probation. This is how crowded the prison system was. Tested dirty for cocaine and alcohol and whatever 9 times when he was on probation. He was caught jumping up and down on somebody, kicking somebody's face in drunk at a bar. So then he didn't get jail for that. He got jail 3 months for violating his probation. So the whole judicial system is a bunch of crap. It's lies. It's about collecting revenue. It's about retaliation. Police. What happened too is if you go to elected officials and you propose legislation for judicial reform, for civilian oversight of police, the Connecticut State Police Commissioner gets your name, and at roll call, officers are given your name, your address, what you drive, who you can hang out with. They'll try to get you fired from your job, and it's just across the board blanket retaliation. I wrote Chris Dodd. It wasn't a day later that I had the police telling me to shut my damn mouth and get out of the state if I don't like it. So if you complain about if you have legitimate complaints and you go to elected officials, whether they be state, town hall, if you complain to a police officer, if you make a police misconduct complaint, you're taking your life into your own hands. Your marriage, you lose everything, your job. because police officers will feel that you're complaining about all police officers. Rape, when white police officers rape a woman, it's not a question whether they're going to be prosecuted for rape. It's whether or not they keep their jobs, and a lot of times they do. And the woman ends up being terrorized and goes out of state. I was dating a woman. This is after I got divorced. I owned a nail and beauty salon, hair, and she had a nice house. Had a 18 or 20-year-old daughter. Pulled over twice after leaving my house. The police had put a no dating policy on me, so they according to her, inserted their fingers into her twice on her way home and told her that she shouldn't date me, and they threatened her, and she was so terrified that she wanted to keep her business and all that, and it ended the relationship.
Let me get you to do a soundbite for me saying, did you actually spend a year in jail or just sentenced to a year?
I was sentenced to a year. It was 4 months and 8 months hanging. 3 years probation.
What I'd like you to do is, let me get this in a short. I was sentenced to 1 year in jail for pepper spraying someone who attacked me and said, "Give me your money or I will kill you." I lost my, and we go into the laundry list of what you lost.
I pepper sprayed a felon who had been threatening my life for weeks. He was telling my tenants that he would kill me when I got home, and he was banging on my door after midnight for a week or so. So I was being stalked, I was being harassed, I was being threatened. So he finally caught me out in my yard after dark, jumped me, started punching me, and said he'd cut my penis off if I didn't give my wallet. So I did, and I pepper sprayed him, and we fought, and I ended up getting arrested. Only I was arrested. I got a year in jail for that, and 3 years probation. I lost my home. My daughter hasn't called me daddy in 10 years, hasn't said I love you. I used to get birthday cards. I used to get invited places. I used to have credit. I used to travel internationally. This hurts the economy, and it's just devastated my life. I mean, I should have a I worked hard all my life. I should have a retirement. I should have some enjoyment for all the work I've done. But because of corrupt courts, because of police just feeling they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, we're all victims. I'm not eating at local restaurants. Well, lately I have because I'm employed, but well, anyway, there's a lot of money that I haven't spent. I'm not buying a new car. Employed, intact families are under siege in America.
Now, you have a website. What's that?
starkravingviking.blogspot.com and judicialmisconduct.blogspot.com. And I write on opednews.com.
So have you come acquainted with a lot of other victims?
Yes. Police officers who were wronged by the system. African-American Manchester police officer contacted me. This is like when I was out of jail. I started blogging on freespeech.com. And he said, well, they will pay me what they owe me, and they'll stop harassing me if you don't blog on me. A Navy man came home. The state police mentally ill daughter filed a false report against him, and he wanted to basically not be in trouble for something he didn't do. So he contacted me and told me that if I didn't put his name in my blog, that everything was fine. Donnie Christmas, also a landlord, I on MrLandlord.com posted a story, and I posted a story on free speech, and they went from getting a year and a half in jail to not getting any time. He evicted one of the police officers' prostitutes. She was like 14, Cheyenne. And I guess the police were angry about him evicting a prostitute, and the prostitute's mother was also a prostitute. So I guess she was supposed to pay for prostitutes to have apartments. That's one of the problems I had, is I didn't give free apartments so the prosecutor and police officers could have sex with prostitutes on my dime. So at one point I was paying over $2,000 a month for prostitutes to have apartments, and I wasn't having sex with them, at least the police were. So, this disgusts me.
What needs to change?
People who are doing wrong need to be prosecuted. If a police officer rapes a woman, and there should be some sort of law that's enforced where when police are stalking and threatening you, they should not be able to pay police informants tax dollars to murder you or beat you up or give people incentives to attack you. Peter Kukos came to me when I was fixing up my rental properties and said I was to deserve my properties, he'd do a better job, this and that. And what I found out is that the police, he slept with prostitutes. He was a crack addict at the time. I'm thinking, he was offered. He told me he was offered his my properties to threaten me out of Connecticut and harass my daughter. I've recorded phone calls where he's threatened my daughter's life, sexually harassing her, and so the police awarded him my properties for getting me out of that. So he basically gets rewarded for being a criminal dirtbag. And before he had my properties, he was in Boston, and I guess it's over 7 miles of road. He was slamming into an African American woman drunk, yelling the N-word, and that's before he got my properties. And he assaulted me on my property, and this is after I already been arrested for being assaulted on my property. Wouldn't turn around. He was punching me in the back of the head, and he said that the reason he didn't like me having a daughter because he didn't have a kid. He didn't like this, didn't like that, and it's just disgusting.
So what about your ideas on the grand juries?
I think there should be like a people's grand jury where judges, they get their jobs because they have some sort of political connections. I think if you get drafted to serve on a grand jury, for a certain amount of time, that you're not affiliated with a party, that you care about your community, and that you want people to be prosecuted for public good, not so organized crime, police, and lawyers make the most amount of money. And I think that police officers or officials, if they're in front of a grand jury, they can't rig a grand jury, but they can rig judges, they can rig lawyers, they can rig police. So if you have the justice system should be in the hands of the people, and if you have private investigators, they should be autonomous. In Connecticut, the files for private investigators are open to the state police for six years. So if a private investigator investigates a police officer in Connecticut, they can take away what materials they have. They can lose their license, and then the private investigator can end up being in jail for investigating public corruption, police misconduct, or what passes for a court system.
People just, most people don't know this goes on, do they?
I've only scratched the surface. It's much worse. These people can do whatever they want, taking kids away that shouldn't be taken away, taking people's property. There's just no conscience. And the elected officials, what are they doing? You tell your story in front of, on air, at a hearing, and I've told these stories before on camera, and elected officials have no questions. They have no questions after. They just, and basically I'm risking my life going to town hall, to the Capitol, and for what?
Have you picked a country?
I was thinking Costa Rica, but the former mayor, the disbarred lawyer, Barbara C. Johnson, lives down in Costa Rica. And she's basically in exile there. She complained about judges in her blogs, so she ended up in jail until she took the stuff down. And she went to Costa Rica. There's military occupation there. There's probably nowhere that you can go that you are safe. If you are outspoken, I might be safer in the U.S. because they can just kill you. The U.S. government, with all that they're doing, or I don't know if it's U.S. government, it's more or less, I think the banks and corporations basically own everything, and they decide who lives, who dies, and who's gone after. Being in Vermont, there isn't so many cameras off the street lights. I noticed that I'm not being followed around. I do know that I'm blacklisted because when I took a small claims case in the Vermont court system, it got up to the date. I had to reserve the individual. A judge recused himself. I didn't know anybody in Vermont. Why would he recuse himself? Then another judge recused himself a couple months later, and then so they couldn't get a judge to sit on my case, so they put a lawyer on my case, and then it was 3 months before he would I had to keep asking for some sort of answer, and then they found for the other side. So it's if you're blacklisted in the court system, it's everywhere. So in Vermont, I keep to myself. In other places I am, so I move around.
How long will it take me to get to Manchester?
Probably an hour and 10 minutes, or less.
Be there at 8 in the morning. Hope they got a room for me to film. Check that tonight. Well, anything else you want to say? Any other sound bites?
Good luck with what you're doing, and keep in touch, and we can do some sort of audio interview. I know your site's jacked. We took out one of my laptops, so if you want to get the word out to get people to contact you, I'm willing to put your contact information on my sites, and we'll see if those get hacked. And
yeah, tell all your folks, hey, if they're victims, have them contact me, and we'll
that I will
find out where we are, and they can come and tell their stories. So hopefully we'll embarrass them into doing somebody into doing the right thing.
There's a lot more to my story too. After I got divorced, I started shooting pool downtown, and Barbara Sattel, I didn't know, but she was married, buxom blonde. She was offered $10,000 to get me to drive drunk from in front of just around the corner to my properties. So we were drinking one night, and I always walk down. She wanted me to get in her Blazer, and she says, "Well, we'll go home. We'll go back to your place." So we get. She goes, "You drive," and I'm thinking. So I got in, started her vehicle up, and then I turned it off, and set the keys, and I'm going, something doesn't feel right. I said, "Why don't just meet me up there?" She did, and I found out because then we started dating, and I found out she was married. She left her husband and decided that she wanted to be with me, and she admitted that she was a police informant, and was basically offered money to get me to drive drunk, and she lied about her age, about being married, and it was just too much. And so I broke up with her. And she told me that I would lose my house, my daughter, my business, and go to prison if I didn't date her. She says that's what the police wanted. And I didn't. And I lost my house, my daughter, and went to prison.
Do we need to format? Should we call it around?
Well, there's still 10 minutes left on the one that's right
Let's
there.
call it around.
Okay.
Good job, Steve. Oh, man.
You think I did a good job?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just incredible. Just incredible. You know, yours is a first. I haven't heard this yet.
What's that?
What you went through,
Yeah.
to the degree. I've heard plenty of stories of the police doing something, but not say anything like that.
Well, people that have similar stories contacted me, and it's not, the